people. But in the late 70s, when this war on drugs kicked in that had been declared by Richard Nixon, we see the beginning of an era which has defined us as a society that is one of the most punitive in human history. We now have the highest rate of incarceration in the world. We went from 300,000 people in jails and prisons to 2.3 million people in jails and prisons. We have 5% of the world's population, but 25% of the world's imprisoned. 6 million people on probation or parole, 70 million Americans with criminal arrest.
And the racial component to this is real. So you point out Department of Justice study just came out.
Yes.
Tell us what it says.
Yes, well, the race statistics are the most dispiriting. The Bureau of Justice now predicts that 1 in 3 black male babies born in this country is expected to go to jail or prison. The statistic for Latino boys is 1 in 6, and that's a shameful reality that was not true in the 20th century.
So when you look at those videos that we've all seen in the last year of police officers seemingly entirely unjustifiably shooting, killing, arresting young black men, you're not surprised?
No, I think there is a narrative of racial difference in this country that we have never confronted. You know, I think we live with a kind of smog in the air. Our history of racial inequality is a kind of pollution, and we haven't done the things you need to do to affect a different, healthier environment. We've just not had conversations that you need to have. We're a post-genocidal society, and we haven't done the things you're supposed to do to recover from a genocide. There were millions of native people on this continent who were slaughtered by white settlers when this country was formed, and we haven't talked about that. And it made us indifferent to the victimization of African people who were enslaved. And I don't think the great evil of American slavery was involuntary servitude. I think the great evil of American slavery was the narrative of racial difference that we created to legitimate it. We made up this ideology of white supremacy in America, and we haven't confronted it. In South Africa, they recognized to recover from apartheid, there had to be truth and reconciliation. In Rwanda, people will tell you they can't recover from the genocide without talking about all of the damage. In Germany, if you go to that nation, you see a landscape where there are markers and monuments at the homes of Jewish families that were abducted during the Holocaust. The Germans actually want you to go to Auschwitz and Birkenau and reflect soberly on that history. And because of that, we have a different relationship with Germany than we would have if they refused to own up or talk about the Holocaust. But we do the opposite in America. It's the 21st century. There's not a single place in this country where you can have an honest engagement with the history of lynching. There are hardly any places where you can deal honestly with the legacy of slavery. We have this landscape that is littered with the iconography of the Confederacy, which we romanticize. My state of Alabama, they celebrate Jefferson Davis's birthday as a state holiday. Confederate Memorial Day is a state holiday. We don't even have Martin Luther King Day in Alabama. It's Martin Luther King / Robert E. Lee Day. And this disconnect has got to be challenged if we're going to actually become a society where that presumption of dangerousness and guilt doesn't undermine the aspirations of so many people.
Bryan Stevenson, good to have you on.
Thank you very much.